Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckin Around Kickstarter Edition. Today, we're going to be taking a look at any decks that have funded in the past 7 days, any decks that are new to Kickstarter in the past week, and any decks that are going to be ending their round of funding in the upcoming 7 days. But before we jump into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And please ring the bell.
So Steve, I gotta say, there's surprisingly new decks still, even though it's the week of Christmas. I would have expected basically a dead week here, but we actually got, I think, 4 or 5 new decks.
Yeah, I mean, although that doesn't even touch the 15 to 20 that we're used to seeing, I'm definitely surprised. I would personally stay away from throwing up a campaign until after the new year for
Yeah,
sure.
I think, that December month, it just gets really tough. And I think we've talked about this the past couple of weeks. It gets really tight on budgeting, and putting up a new deck and expecting it to fund, let alone fund quickly, is just a tough situation for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump into it, let's take a quick word from our sponsor here.
Hummingbird Feathers mimics the shimmer of a hummingbird in motion, meticulously created with a specialized printing process using multiple holographic foils. Stunning tuck design and sculpted embossing with master letterpress creation, featuring limited, standard, and gilded 3-deck sets. Pre-order yours today at marvelousdecks.com.
All right, so let's check out what funded this week on Kickstarter. First up, we have the Bicycle Stronghold 2020 playing cards. Congratulations. And we have the Satanic playing cards. Congratulations on funding. And we have the Hamsa deck Prajna edition, which will have funded by the time this airs, so congratulations. And then ending in the next 7 days, we have the Admiral Royal playing cards and Silver Seal limited edition. We have the I Survived 2020 commemorative playing cards. We have the Lines deck of elements. And we have the Stairways playing cards, Cotton Candy Blast. And the WH Classic Blue playing cards. And the Tiny 2 mini playing cards. And the Lunar and Zodiac Year of the Snake deck. And the Bicycle Cardistry 5th edition or 5th anniversary playing cards. And the South Beach playing cards. All right, a good amount of decks ending this week. Hopefully, again, with the holiday budgets,
Yeah,
hopefully everyone's prepared for that hit when things end this week.
yeah. Hopefully, we don't get a lot of dropouts in those
Yeah.
campaigns.
All right, so let's see what we got here first. The American deck playing cards. Very interesting style to it. I have to say, the one thing that I'm always, and this is a personal touch, or personal taste more than anything, that border around it just seems like it leaves so much empty space around the card itself. It almost seems a little bit big, but this is an interesting deck. First time creator Andrew Anson. Let's see what we got here. We are Andrew Anson and Kristen Kramer. A 2-pair hand of artists from Brooklyn with a taste for the decadent and a stylish new deck of playing cards that America needs right now. So we need your help. Honestly, great flow into a story so far. The one thing I will say immediately that stands out to me is just based on the pictures and everything like that. Granted, this is I'm assuming they mean this for this to be a playing card, like an actual playing card deck, like a poker deck. There's a lot of intricacy to it. Very artistic. It's got an interesting kind of Victorian era vibe to it.
Yeah, I feel like it's just unfinished.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see a lot more color to it. I do like the black and white art, and I do appreciate black and white art. I actually really dig that Queen of Spades with the spade dress there. Yeah, it feels like, not only that, it just feels like there needs to be more information. I understand, I think the backstory is great, but who's printing the deck? Here we go. Print 1,000 bicycle playing card grade gold foil 52 card So there's a lot of information in this one sentence here, and I think this is where bullet points are super helpful. Bicycle playing card grade stock, cool. So assuming they're going to be printing with USPCC, assuming they're going to be printing on bicycle grade, non-crushed at 1,000 print run. All of those things that bullet points listed out there would just make it a lot more cohesive and a lot easier to ingest that information. Also, it looks like there's a lot of discussion about card back without gold foil. So gold foil, I'm assuming they're going to be using Metalux on the back. The one,
I mean, there's no way they're doing Metalux because there's no color.
well, and that's the thing though, like we don't actually see, yeah, so that's the thing though. If you take a look, first we don't actually see the back design in its uh full like image there. Oh, I guess this is it here. But yeah, it says without gold foil. So I'm guessing somewhere within this is going to be gold foil or all gold foil. This is where renders do come in handy if you don't obviously have the opportunity to get a fully designed prototype ahead of time. But a render would help sell this a lot more because when you say that there's going to be gold foil across this, that can distinctly change the image itself and the look of the deck. Like if this is all of the black is going to become gold, like this makes it a very bright deck with a gold and white. If it's only parts of it are gonna be gold, like that also changes the vibe of it as well. So I think having as much information as possible in this is important, especially being a first time creator. The other thing I don't see here is fulfillment information. So I definitely think fulfillment information will be important here. Risks and challenges. Because of the conservative nature of playing card publishing in the United States, it's difficult to print provocative or unconventional card decks. Anything deemed offensive or depicting famous persons is forbidden or subject to further legal scrutiny. Fortunately for us, U.S. Playing Cards has reviewed all the... It's okay. So that is one of the things, too, that kind of stands out to me, is this obviously not being someone who's super familiar with the playing card industry. Is there are a lot more publishers out there or printers out there than just USPCC. Cardamundi will basically print anything it doesn't find, terribly offensive or a legal issue. So I think there's a lot of possibility there. And at the end of the day, Cardamundi foil is so much better than USPCC, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
let's see what we're looking at price point wise for this deck. 23 shipped with something that's got foil on the back, depending on what that foil looks like, is actually a reasonable price.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. What does it say for the read more? It only ships to the United States. Just
yeah, only shipping to the U.S. and
but what does it say for the read more there?
nothing really, doesn't really add any substance. Yeah. So 3 decks though for $50, for $53 brings your price point down pretty significantly there. To under $20 a deck. The one other thing I would say with this though too is obviously get an inauguration edition gold foil deck plus a limited edition art print. So you really only have the option for 1 deck and 3 decks. This is something that within the community, a 1, a 3, a 1, 2, a 3, a 4, any count of decks really is worthwhile up until like a half brick. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12 is usually a pretty good spread for what to do on tiers. Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
Yeah, it looks like they're really trying to push the sign print as well,
Yeah, which ultimately too, that would have been a good add-on though as well, because someone may have wanted 1 deck and the print. Let's see. I know, so they do have a tier for it, but I think it would have been something where if you're really trying to print the deck more than anything, it's important to focus on the deck. You're blocking people out of further tiers now, and it looks like they've basically limited themselves to the most you can get on a single tier is 5 decks. Which means if someone wanted a brick on this, it's not feasible just due to the lack of add-ons. So something to consider being that this is a playing card themed Kickstarter project is making sure to read the temperature of the community to see what they usually like. I mean, before you launch your first Kickstarter campaign for playing cards, you should try and search through previous campaigns that were successful to figure out what their actual, structure looks like.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're not able to get, renders, at least put gold ink, so to speak, gold coloring on the tuck box on the back design or the faces, if that's where the gold foil is going to be, just to give us an idea of what it's going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So good luck, guys. Next up, we have the Fair Play playing cards, which looks like a German campaign. So from a text point of view, we're going to be pretty useless. But it's an interesting campaign. Just based on the pictures, it looks very handmade. I'm assuming this is a prototype. Yeah, so I can catch the word prototype there. Creative aspect to go for a prototype. I think the one thing that I would say just based on this campaign in general is a lot more pictures. Definitely show a lot more of the artwork. Discuss who is going to be printing the cards, and it may be in here, though nothing is standing out to me. So if anyone does speak German, feel free to let me know who the printer and the fulfillment is going to be for this. But either way, I would say that printing and fulfillment for this would be crucial to know, but also show a lot more of it. And it looks like this is going to be specifically for Germany only. $15 shipped within a country, though, is not a bad deal if you dig the artwork on this. But I think showing off a lot more of the artwork is going to be beneficial for this campaign. So good luck, Hannah. Let's take a look at the craft playing cards. Created on Earth by humans, printed by USPCC, fulfilled by Gambler's Warehouse. Great use of the subtitle there off the bat. I like that the image, obviously being very much a render or a drawing, shows the cards, though. It's cool, kind of a fun, robot-themed deck, it looks like. Craft World, a beautiful, bizarre world, a world that mirrors our habits, a world that lives in our hearts. Already getting an interesting kind of like drawing you in story vibe, which I think is really cool. Craft Court is here, funny, innocent, outgoing, seeking brave allies to establish the new kingdom. Let's reveal it. Yeah, like this kind of gives you an interesting, fun little like, I wonder what this is about,
There's a comic book, it says.
All right, very cool. Crafting their art with a fine taste of humor. All right. So the one thing I would say too, just from the jump, right after this and before you get too far into the images, maybe a little bit of a quick bullet points just to break down printer and fulfillment right up top as well. Even though you do have it in the subtitle, the information like what stock and print run are always helpful there. But I dig the vibe of the drawings, and this is really where, again, if you don't have your hands on a fully functional prototype, making sure that your renders are fun and thematically oriented is super important. And this is well done. Obviously, being a comic-themed deck, it makes a lot of sense that the artwork to represent the deck would be drawn in that comic style, which I think is really cool. It's an interesting tuck design. It looks relatively simple, not bad looking. That's an interesting fanning element there for sure.
What's the DD mean? Are those Ds?
They look like Ds. And we see it here as well. That I do not know. And I'm assuming maybe it's something from the comic book, but it may be helpful to bring that into the campaign as well, just because the question is going to come up.
Duchamp. Oh, there's the last name of the guy. Marcel
Duchamp is a artist, but he's not the one who designed the deck.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's an interesting design to it. I really like the cartoon nature of it. I also like the subtle connection between all of the pips to actually draw the number inside the card. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's cool.
It's really kind of
It's definitely a fun deck. Yeah. It's definitely I really dig the core cards. The core cards are super fun.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of like some old school Nickelodeon cartoons, Which I really, it's definitely something that would be like great for kids. Okay, so here we get into the full custom cards, 2 custom jokers, 1 double backer for Magic Trick, extra TNG card, matte tuck box with custom seal, USPCC on premium B crushed stock. Okay, so they're looking to print 2,500 decks. I'd almost bring a little bit of that up to the top, just because I think, there's a lot of good images here, but there's not a lot of text. Bringing it up a little bit further would actually kind of help continue telling that story consistently throughout the images. Paper stock, premium, thin crushed, air cushion, awesome. I like the custom graphics that they created for this as well. It's an interesting way to utilize the press copy that you get from USPCC and Gamblers with the logos and bring them into your own design, make them a little more thematic and make them flow a little bit better. That's really an ingenious way to go about it.
Right.
Pledges and rewards talks about everything there. Very well done. Very cool. What are we looking at price point wise on this?
$14, $17 shipped in the United States.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. So free shipping,
Yeah,
in,
not
so
bad.
free shipping in the
Awesome
U.S.
deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think for what this is at that price point, that's pretty spot on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good price for sure.
Yeah, especially.
Definitely a fun deck. Just I wish there was a little more information on that back design.
Yeah, yeah. I think the fact that it's relying on this idea of these craft comics, talking a little bit more about the comics and building the storyline around that as well, and providing that information may actually hook people not only to the comic but also more so to the deck because they'll understand all of the references there.
Right.
Nice. Talks about the About Us. I think that's really cool.
Oh, what's this?
Nice. Very nicely put together. I think this is, I'm excited for this one. I think it's going to be interesting. Very interesting to see how well this does. So, again, I think being launched in December makes it a little bit tough for some campaigns, but I think their price point's really well for what this deck is. It's a fun looking deck. Their goals reasonable on it. So good luck, guys.
Yep.
Next up, we have the Immortals Puzzle Quest playing cards, which I have to say, I think this is one of the more anticipated decks for, this time period right now. Purely Idea has come out with some pretty nicely done decks in the past. They had a really cool, I want to say it was like Blood and Beast or something along those lines. It was a dragon themed deck, which I really dug. And you can see even with that, like the drive to fund the week of Christmas and holidays is tough even for previously highly successful designers. Obviously, with 10 days to go, I think they'll fund probably without too much issue, but still being short of the goal makes it a little bit difficult during that holiday time. So
Yeah.
this is a dope looking deck though. 100% illustrated, quartz, aces, and jokers, copper, silver, and gold metallic film. Waterproof and limited edition, only 500 made. Metallic gilded edges, metallic ink cards. Packaged with matte lamination finishes. Again, this is one area where spell checking is very important because matte, the name, will not kick off your spell checker, but at the same time, they meant matte as in MATTE. This is always why it's great to give a once over though on all these campaigns and have someone not associated with the campaign run through it and just see if they can find any of those things. Sometimes even a couple people, because one person to edit isn't always going to pick everything up. I love the fact that they give a quick overview. They jump into the story here. Premium mind twisting puzzle playing cards contain 3 limited editions. And I like the idea that the puzzles are into this. There's an interesting video along with it as well. A special sequel. Next across all decks in the Ultimate Storyline. Very cool. So there's an interesting way to get all of the decks, kind of get people to drive to pick up all the decks because they're connected in that way. But it looks like there's a lot of involvement around potentially either a website or an app with this as well, which is interesting. Solving all 3 sequels from each deck series will unlock an incredible limited edition final puzzle where a special delivery containing a key and master box will be shipped to you. So that's a really cool idea. There's actually like a whole puzzle involved with this deck. So for people who love puzzles, this is something cool and an opportunity to get, a limited edition box and key. Yeah. Love the artwork on this too. It's really well designed. The one thing I'm still not seeing, though, is who is going to be printing this and who's going to be fulfilling. So
yeah, seeing that they're only doing 500 of each, it's probably someone like NPC or NPCC or someone like that.
Yeah, which again, with the overview up top, it would have been helpful to put that information as well because I think that's just as important for the overview as anywhere else. Interesting metal art. I think the add-ons for this are really fun as well, especially if you're into this deck. These add-ons are brilliant. They really draw people to the artwork and then get them to want to pick up more things related to that artwork. So it's really a smart idea. Let's see what we got here. Dice walks you through how to add to your pledges, stretch goals. So backer certificate, premium tuck seal, box sticker note. I do have to say the one thing too is with this like runic style font, it actually makes some of the stuff hard to read, which is actually something to consider. While it does add to the theme and gives a fun vibe to it, like I have to pause to think about what the word I'm reading is, which kind of breaks up the flow of the campaign a little bit. But let's see, it talks about purely imagined. There it is, Blood and Beast. That was their original deck there.
Yeah.
So I'm still not seeing who's going to be printing. Yeah. You're located in Singapore and all the logistic for packaging done in-house. So in-house fulfillment. I think that's great that they talk about it. Again, I think talking about it a little bit higher up would be important, especially if you do have the facility and everything in place. Yeah, but I'm still not seeing the printer. And I think from a collector point of view, that doesn't necessarily matter, though you do want to know that you're going to have a deck that's going to hold up. But I think it's important to know who the printer is either way. All right. One Immortal deck.
You ready for the cost of this bad boy?
At $44. That is crazy.
The whole set of 4 decks is $120.
Yeah, that's 3 decks and a box.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's 3 decks in the box. Yeah.
So that's a high price point. Especially considering we've seen some really phenomenally done, gilded, foiled, fully custom decks through Cardamundi and other, high-end printers that handle great, look great, hold up to the test of time for less than that. I think that makes it a pretty high price point there. Obviously, they touched on it lower in the campaign as to why the price point is so high. It's because of the limited run and everything. But with that sort of price point, I definitely want to know who's printing this deck at this point. That's a tough one. I think the artwork really is beautiful, and that's one of the things where if you can get people in with the story and with the idea of the puzzle, I think the puzzle and everything is just so ingenious. It's such a great way to drive the campaign. But that price point is a tough one. And the fact that the only way to get that final thing is to buy all 3 decks, that's a hefty commitment out the box without knowing who is going to be printing this deck. So,
no.
Yeah, I mean,
pricey.
Yeah, it's definitely pricey. I like the Pure Imagination decks in the past. It's a really
Pure idea.
Yeah, Pure Idea. There you go. Pure Idea. Purely idea. But no, it's a great looking deck, but that price point it's a little hard to swallow there. So good luck. With 10 days left, I have no doubt it'll fund, but yeah, good luck. Nice job. And next up we have the Fruits playing card. All right. Introducing to you the Kickstarter campaign of the unique Fruits deck. This brand new deck is brought to you by Color Card, a new company that hopes to bring out more extraordinary, fully custom designed playing cards in the future. We're excited to finally bring you this deck. It is a product of months of work, and we finally reached its fully polished and perfect state. Fully customized, front and back design, printed by USPC, filled by Gambler's Warehouse. I'm so excited to see more people utilizing this subtitle format to actually include information that's important, because on the front page, you see the title and the subtitle and a little blurb. If you don't let people know, like, hey, this is USPCC from the jump or Cardamundi from the jump, they may not be interested. There are people who are really very picky with those things. So let's see what we got here. Story goes into it, talks about it pretty well. Fruit deck are completely custom design, including vibrant and vivid colors, fresh and clear patterns, as well as crisp and energetic designs, all packaged in an appealing tuck box. Let's see what we got here. So I would say that this is probably cardistry oriented just based on the central element there. Interesting. 56 cards included, printed by USPCC. Filled by gamers, bicycle grade classic stock. All right. And I like the custom pips for the suits.
Yeah, I mean the only thing is the diamonds are a little different, right? Where the other three suits have the inside elements, but the diamonds have kind of like an outside element, you know?
Yeah, which I mean, granted, they still are visually pretty. They still look like diamonds. So I think to some extent, especially because they're pineapples, it makes a little sense. Um, but yeah, I can see where that might be a sticking point for some. So let's see what we got here. Front and back design, shown in a fan, card faces. That's actually a really good way to show the courts off there. It takes up a good amount of space, but at the same time, you're seeing 12 cards there, so you get a feel for all of it. The blueberries here for the clubs for a second just kind of reminded me a little bit of a bowling ball.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so pineapple, orange, avocado, and blueberry. Interesting.
Mm.
I do like that they use full-sized pip, central ace for the aces there. Little watermelon jokers, a round versus square watermelon. And then
Now, what's the back design supposed to be?
I think it's just F for fruits, but like a very,
Interesting.
yeah, but very like
Yeah, because I mean,
visual.
it's definitely not cohesive with the rest of the deck. Which obviously has a bunch of fruits kind of littered throughout the deck, and then the back design just kind of lost me with the.
Well, and I think if they're going for something that's very cardistry oriented for the back design, I'd almost say even get rid of the Fs and just go with the pattern and let that and own that lack of cohesiveness there. I think the Fs almost make it even more incohesive.
Yeah, that center element kind of looks like a poker chip.
Yeah, or like a BMW icon, like the logo. But and that also in that central element actually would have been a spot where they could have done something with the fruit in there to tie the back design to the front of the cards, removing the F and
Right.
making that central element fruit related in some way. It could have been maybe it's an orange, I'm not exactly sure, but like if that's the case, like the story would help. It's a fun little tuck box. I like the fact that it brings all four of the fruits together there. Great use of the logos. Great use of a timeline as well. Again, I think more people need to start using these, especially a visual timeline. It's easier to ingest, especially on a mobile platform, images versus large blocks of text, so it makes sense. Cool. And I like the fact that they actually put thought into the risks and challenges.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with the meaning the chance of the product not being produced or delivered properly is practically nil. Even in a best case scenario with a campaign, someone's always getting a ding deck. That being said, mentioning that it's practically nil, I think the better approach there would in fact to be, say that things are going to be handled as best as possible, and any sort of, issues that arise will be, taken care of, something along those lines. Obviously, that's not the most elegant thing I've ever said there, but I think it makes sense that with the risks and challenges that you want to be as straightforward and as truthful as possible. And while gamblers and USPCC obviously have a lot of practice with creating playing cards and there's likely a minimal chance that something goes wrong, it's always worth addressing, like if something does go wrong, it will be handled properly. I mean, we've seen it several times this year where a deck gets printed with any printer, comes out terrible, and the printers have to go back and reprint the whole thing, and that ends up delaying timelines, sometimes 2-3 months. So there's
Yeah.
always a possibility that even in a well-oiled machine such as USPCC or Gambler's Warehouse, things still go wrong from time to time. So it's something good to address and it's important. But I do like the fact that the risks and challenges section, there is some thought to it instead of just being like, we're printing cards, it's easy, there's nothing to be worried about. I do like that some thought was put into it there. Let's see what we got price-wise. $18 shipped. Comes under that 20 mark for a standard deck. I mean, it's not bad. I would see this as being more of like a $16 deck, but
Yeah.
if you like the deck, I don't think $16 to $18 is too much to swallow, so it's not too bad. There's still some early birds left as well, so you could actually get it for 16 shipped under the early bird, which isn't bad. Yeah. The two things I would say that I think are important with this as well, though, stretch goals and add-ons. Always important to talk about. Even if the add-ons are just single decks, it's always good to have it there. For some reason, someone may want 8 decks, and so they get the 6 tier and then want to add 2 more. It's always better to have the option to add things and people not need it than people need it and not have it there. Same with the stretch goals. Even if you don't hit a stretch goal, it never hurts to throw some incentive out there. I think it helps drive a campaign a lot of times, and I think it helps people who back a campaign have more incentive to share the campaign with other people because they want to see those stretch goals met, and they know to do that they need more people to follow a campaign. So,
Yep.
cool. Good luck with the campaign. Be interesting to see how this plays out. It's an interesting concept. I do like the custom pips, so good luck.
Good luck.
And that's it for this week, Steve.
Nice.
What decks are you backing this week?
I'm not gonna back any this week, buddy. I'm gonna keep my money and wait till the new year.
Week 3. I gotta say, I really dig the Immortals deck, but that price point is just a little outside of what I'm comfortable spending right now, especially not knowing the printer. But yeah, so I think I may be in the same boat, man. Another week, no new decks, but that's fine by me. We'll have to see what the new year brings. Next week, who knows? It could be another slow one being the first week of the new year, but it'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, I mean, we know a few decks that are already slated to drop the first week of the new year, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for checking out this episode of Deckin Around Kickstarter Edition. We're going to take a quick word from our sponsor here.
Hummingbird Feathers mimics the shimmer of a hummingbird in motion. Meticulously created with a specialized printing process using multiple holographic foils. Stunning tuck design and sculpted embossing with master letterpress creation. Featuring limited, standard, and gilded 3-deck sets. Pre-order yours today at marvelousdecks.com.
And if you haven't already, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We drop these every Monday, taking a look at any new decks that come up on Kickstarter. Thanks so much, everyone.
Peace.